Hello everyone, and welcome to this Friday's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young, and there's more than usual to get to this week, so I'll jump right in. To start, we crowned two national champions this week. On Sunday, the NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship took place between UConn and South Carolina in Tampa, Florida. To get to this point, the number 2 seed UConn Huskies had to go through a gauntlet of number 1 seeds, USC, UCLA, and finally South Carolina. South Carolina was going for their second straight national championship and their fourth since just 2017. However, the red-hot UConn Huskies prevented the Gamecocks from the repeat title as they upset the reigning champs in dominant fashion, winning 82-59 on Sunday. The Huskies had previously won 4 championships in a row from 2013 to 2016. Since then, they had fallen just short of the tournament every year, including losing in the finals to South Carolina in 2022. But on Sunday, the Huskies moved to the top of the women's basketball world yet again, sending senior guard and projected WNBA first overall pick Paige Bueckers out with her first national championship. Bueckers had 17 points on the night and was supported by Ozzie Fudd and Sarah Strong, who each finished with 24 points. Fudd was named the most outstanding player of the Final Four. All time, UConn now has 12 wins in the Final Four by 20 or more points. All other teams in Division I women's history have 11 combined. The Huskies' 23-point margin of victory ties for the third largest in championship game history, behind 2 previous UConn teams that won by 33 versus Louisville in 2013 and 31 versus Syracuse in 2016. All this to say, this championship win adds to the already historic resume of the UConn women's basketball program. The second crowned champion of the week came on Monday night in the men's NCAA basketball national championship. For weeks, I've been saying this March Madness had been lacking the madness. The championship game made up for all of that. The stage was set for a physical battle between 2 of the best teams in the country and 2 number 1 seeds, Florida and Houston. As predicted, this was a physical battle and a back-and-forth game all day long, with teams swapping points, collisions, block shots, dunks, and more. From the opening tip-off, this game was fast-paced and, truthfully, pretty chaotic. In the early part of the game, Houston seemed to be in complete control. Although the score was fairly close, Florida had a large number of turnovers in the first half, and star player Walter Clayton Jr. had an astonishing 0 points heading into the half. At the first buzzer, Houston headed to the locker room with a 31-28 lead in what was already a low-scoring defensive shootout. Coming out of the break, Houston jumped out to a bigger lead, as many as 12 points at one point. LJ Cryer led the way for the Cougars, scoring 19 points on the night, including 4 huge three-point shots. I've mentioned momentum 1,000 times on this show, and momentum took a large swing in Florida's direction late in the game. With 4 seconds on the clock, the entire Alamo Dome stood still, as Florida had snuck into the lead 65-63. Cougars guard Emmanuel Sharp had gone up to shoot a potential game-winning 3 with just 4.9 seconds left, but Walter Clayton Jr. came out of nowhere to contest the shot, leaving the ball bouncing freely with 4.2 seconds and counting. Gators forward Alex Condon finally dove on the ball with 2 seconds left, securing it and tossing it towards Clayton. The buzzer sounded, Clayton slammed the ball on the ground, and Houston coach Kelvin Sampson looked on in stunned silence. Florida had just shocked the world and pulled off their come-from-behind win for their 3rd ever national title, and their first since going back-to-back in 2006 and 2007. It was only fitting that Clayton made the game-saving block on defense. After scoring a combined 64 points in his previous 2 games, Clayton didn't score his first point against the Cougars until the 14:57 mark of the second half. He didn't make his first field goal until there were 7 minutes and 54 seconds left in the game. He then had 2 three-point plays in less than a minute, then hit a huge three-pointer with 3 minutes left to tie the game at 60. Clayton finished with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists, winning the Final Four's most outstanding player. This was the first basketball title for the SEC since Kentucky in 2012. 39-year-old Florida head coach Todd Golden became the youngest since NC State's Jim Valvano in 1983 to win it all. Just one step below the men's NCAA tournament is the National Invitation Tournament, also known as the NIT. For the first time ever, UC Irvine was playing in the program's first NIT championship game against Tennessee Chattanooga. Unfortunately, our local Anteaters fell 1 point shy in an overtime thriller, coming up short 85-84 in the championship game. To get to this point, obviously UCI had won several consecutive games. On one day in particular, last Tuesday, UCI beat North Texas 69-67 in the semifinal game. On the same day, the Angels beat the Cardinals 9-7, and the Ducks beat the Sharks 4-3, completing the Orange County trifecta. This was the first time in history all 3 of these teams won a game on the same day. Pretty cool fun fact for our local teams. Speaking of the Angels and Southern California, all three SoCal teams, the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres, have had an incredible start to the MLB season. The Dodgers started their campaign with a perfect 8-0 record before losing 2 games to the Phillies last weekend. The Padres, coincidentally, started their season with a perfect 7-0 before losing 2 straight to Chicago last weekend. And lastly, while the Angels didn't start out undefeated, they quickly jumped out to a solid 7-3 start and first place in their division. Here's a look at the current MLB standings. Obviously, the MLB season is a gruesome 162 games long, so a lot could change between now and October. But for now, our 3 hometown teams are looking pretty good. I've been talking about it for a few weeks, but it's finally official. Alex Ovechkin has passed Wayne Gretzky for most goals in NHL history. Ovechkin fired just about the perfect shot from the place on the ice that has defined his remarkable career. When the puck hit the net, it made him the top goal scorer in NHL history, as he scored his 895th career goal in the Washington Capitals game Sunday against the New York Islanders. The historic goal came on a power play with 12 minutes and 34 seconds left in the second period. He took a pass from longtime teammate Tom Wilson and fired a rocket of a shot past New York goaltender Ilya Sorokin. The 39-year-old then belly flopped on the ice as tens of thousands of fans in the crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Although the Capitals would go on to lose that game 4-1, it still was a celebratory day for Washington and for all sports fans. The NHL playoffs are just around the corner, and as I mentioned last week, Ovi and the Capitals are already in. So here's an updated look at the playoff picture so far. Since last week, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, Ottawa Senators, New Jersey Devils, and our local Los Angeles Kings have all clinched their spots in the postseason. That means 12 out of the 16 spots are now filled. A handful of teams have already been eliminated from playoff contention, so only 9 teams remain in the hunt for the final 4 spots. The regular season games will end on Thursday the 17th, with the Stanley Cup playoffs beginning on Saturday the 19th. Every year, we're lucky enough to have the NHL and NBA playoffs going on at the same time, and this year's no different. The NBA play-in games begin on Tuesday the 15th, and here's a current look at their playoff picture. Last week, I mentioned the only team in the West that had clinched a spot in the playoffs so far was the OKC Thunder. The Houston Rockets, Sacramento Kings, Dallas Mavericks, and after Luka Doncic's incredible 45-point performance on his emotional return to Dallas, the Los Angeles Lakers are all now playoff bound. A lot's still up for grabs in the West, though. In the East, however, the playoff picture is cemented as pictured. The play-in tournament will be 2 matchups of the Heat and Bulls and the Magic and Hawks. As a reminder, the play-in tournament, it's a little confusing. The winner of the Heat Bulls will move on to the next play-in round while the loser is eliminated. But the loser of the Magic Hawks will play the winner of the Heat Bulls, and the winner of that game takes the 8 seed to play the 1 seed Cavaliers. The winner of the Magic Hawks take the 7 seed in the playoffs to face the Celtics. In the West, the Kings and Mavs are slated to play for a chance to play for the 8 seed. Like I said, very confusing, but tune in to see how all these games play out. Right before the playoffs are about to begin, the Western Conference has gotten even more wild. With 3 games to go in the regular season, the Dallas Mavericks have fired coach Michael Malone after nearly 10 seasons. This news stunned the sports world as the Nuggets currently sit in 4th place in the Western Conference with a 47-32 record. As a parting note, it's worth it to know that Malone had led the Nuggets to their lone NBA championship and had a 471-327 record, making him the all-time winningest coach in Nuggets history. On top of firing Malone on Tuesday, the Nuggets also fired general manager Calvin Booth. Fans are overall really puzzled about what led to Denver to part ways with both Malone and Booth at this point in the season. Just an all-time head-scratcher move, but if more information comes out, I'll be sure to let you know. I've given you a ton of information already, but I can't end the show without talking about one of the greatest events in sports. The Masters tournament at Augusta, Georgia is officially underway. The prestigious golf tournament began yesterday and will play all throughout this weekend. Don't miss out on any of the action. As I said, this is one of the best events in all sports. Naturally, defending champion and world number 1 Scottie Scheffler is the current favorite to win, but don't count out a few underdogs like Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, and Colin Morikawa. With all of that said, enjoy your weekend full of NBA, MLB, golf, Formula 1, soccer, and whatever else you choose to enjoy. Come right back next Friday for the 150th episode of Sports Corner. As always, thank you for tuning in this week. I'm Cole Young. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.